What up, Guru Jojo? I want to talk about the Mercury retrograde today. Mercury goes into retrograde on 2/17, February 17th, 2020. And Mercury goes into retrograde quite often, about 3 to 4 times per year. So it's the planet that goes into retrograde the most out of all the planets, in astrology in particular. Now, regardless if you're into astrology or not, I promise you that Mercury retrograde will affect your life. Okay, there's a lot of shows and broadcasts that state otherwise. I remember watching a couple of shows where they had like a speaker, like a scientist perhaps, come on their show to kind of challenge astrologers and people that believe in the Mercury retrograde, saying that it's made up, it's something that's just in our head. No, it's not. Okay, I'll tell you this right now because I'm very critical in that type of thinking too. But I'll tell you this right now, Mercury retrograde is very much effective. You can see it in your life, so it's nothing that's made up in my head. Okay, every job that I've had, whenever Mercury went into retrograde, there was technical difficulties. Okay, one of the jobs I had was lens crafters. I worked at the eye doctor's office. We used a lot of machinery in order to, get the eye refractions and whatnot. And whenever Mercury went into retrograde, there was a problem with the machines. The machines were glitching. Something was happening with the machines. All right. In addition to this, in other jobs with the computer systems, whenever Mercury goes into retrograde, there's an issue with the computer software. Usually this is causal of forgetfulness, people forgetting to update their software, people forgetting to remove files and stuff. Like, for example, I know that with my laptop, I'm going to have to make sure that I'm removing duplicate files. Anything that is storing up any sort of extra information and resources that I no longer need, I will need to dispose of them. Look at it. The computer is already slowing down this recording as I'm speaking about it because it's like, yep, it's like agree with me, like, yep, you speak about it, you better be about it. So that's what we have to do. We have to make sure that we're sort of going back during the Mercury retrograde. It gives us a time to slow down. Think about it. Our society, we're constantly on the move. We're like in this big assembly line process of just acting upon acting upon acting upon acting. We forget to sometimes like slow down and analyze things and make sure that things make sense, make sure that things are coherent or whatever it be. It's not necessarily a good time for starting new things. And everyone who knows about the Mercury retrograde will tell you that first. Don't start anything new. You shouldn't. If you already started it, then during the Mercury retrograde, it might be a good time to complete it, add to it. But starting something brand new during the Mercury retrograde, when Mercury comes out of retrograde, there is a possibility that things are not going to be what you thought. Why? Because Mercury retrograde tends to put us in a state of over acceptance perhaps sometimes, or just it's like you kind of get tired of everyday life type things to the point that you can drift off into something else that you really don't mean to, perhaps out of just pure curiosity, because your imagination is turned on a little bit more. So like I said, this is a good time for planning new projects, for planning new creative endeavors, for planning new things, but not necessarily acting upon them to broadcast out to the world, I would say, or out to anyone. Really. It's a time where the communication and thinking process slows down. And as it slows down, it gives us opportunities to remember. So the past kind of comes back. This could be good or bad. If you've been waiting for your ex to hit you back up, or if you've been wondering whether it's a good time for you to contact somebody who you've been out of reach with for a while, maybe during the Mercury retrograde, this would be a good time to contact them. But it really all depends. It's something where your intuition can be turned on a lot more. But on the other hand, if you're naturally a person who's always intuitively connected, perhaps during a Mercury retrograde, your intuition may not be as strong. It may be disrupted a little bit. and you may need to rely upon others to help your judgment skills, perhaps. So it really all depends on how you already individually are, how you generally behave during a Mercury in its how do you say it? Mercury that's in its regular transit. I don't know why, Mercury's going retrograde. I forgot how to say it. And it's like something really simple. But like Mercury can either be in retrograde or it's in regular motion, either retrograde or regular motion. So if during regular motions, and let's say you don't have Mercury retrograde natally in your chart, or let's just say, you just, generally speaking, your communication's very well. Let's say that you're a person who communicates quite often. You generally get your ideas and your points across very well. People understand what you meant. People listen to you. During Mercury retrograde, these things could change. People could kind of be more disinterested perhaps in your ideas because they could be more internalized in their own ideas, perhaps because they always listen to you or something like that. On the other hand, if you're not really a person who communicates well with others, you don't really feel ever like listening to other people's ideas, and you're not really that good compromise-wise, then maybe during the Mercury retrograde, you're going to feel a need to want to communicate with others more, to hear other people's ideas. You're going to notice yourself asking people more questions, and you may notice them ignoring you more. And this gives you an opportunity to go back and think, wow, why doesn't this person really want to connect with me? Why doesn't this person want to communicate with me? More than likely, it's because when Mercury was direct, that's the word I was looking for before. When Mercury was in direct motion, you may have been so internalized in your own thoughts and your own emotions and feelings and problems that you didn't really attend to other people's problems. So these are things that are going to come up. All right. I didn't state this in the beginning. Mercury is connected to communication, thinking, your analytical skills for the most part, your early childhood learning. So things like, addition, subtracting, reading, just understanding information in general, like your first couple years, like your grade school and stuff, those things that you learned, that's like your Mercury sign. It's the things you don't really have to think about so quickly. Like you just kind of, you don't have to think about for so long. Like right now, I'm having these thoughts in my head and I'm communicating them out. That's my Mercury sign that's doing that. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to analytical skills, that's also Mercury too. But some people have more of the just Gemini type of Mercury where you just like can communicate, blah, blah, blah. You talk like da, 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 da. And then other people have more of like the Virgo type of Mercury where it's more precise and thinks a lot about what it's going to say before it says it, plans ahead. It just depends, you know what I'm saying? It really depends on your Mercury sign. And if you don't know astrology like that, just think about yourself and how you communicate. Like, do you generally really think about how things are going to be put together and how you're going to articulate things? Like, I know some people, for example, if they're calling the doctor's office to make an appointment, I know a couple of my friends, they really think about, what they're going to say, how they're going to say it. If the person doesn't pick up, what are they going to say? See, I'm not like that. I don't think about any of that crap. So when I leave voicemails and stuff, I feel like it sucks. Like, I just be like, once I hear that beep, I either hang up or it depends on if I need to leave a message or not. I just say it, and it probably doesn't sound as clean cut as other people's, because other people kind of have like a system, like a formula, like a script for what they say, how they're going to say it and all that stuff. Where me, I just completely freestyle it. This is going to help you to understand how you're going to be now during Mercury retrograde. If you're more of like a freestyle communicator, then you know that when Mercury goes into retrograde, you may feel the need to plan things out more, perhaps. Like you may be looking back at where you could have done things better, maybe. You may be more analytical towards the way that you communicate, the way that you convey your messages, the examples that you use, the way that you analyze other people's information. Have you been listening to other people's information, or have you been so caught up in your own thoughts and the things that you want to communicate about that you've forgotten about others? Then this Mercury retrograde will allow you to go back and fix it. We should be grateful for the Mercury retrograde. It's annoying because you kind of will feel like a little irritable because things are slowing down or not working as quickly as they usually are. But we get the opportunities to kind of go back and actually like make something better, perhaps. Like we almost get a second chance, a rejudgment. So it's a great time to take on those opportunities. But with that being said, it's also very important not to, that's another thing that's going to happen during the Mercury retrograde. Like you'll have a thought and it may leave you a little bit because you may just be thinking about like something else too at the same time. So, what I was going to say is it's very important though not to start something like brand new. Like let's say you end up going to the store and you meet this like person at the store and you exchange numbers and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with like exchanging your numbers, but I'm telling you, when Mercury goes back direct, you're gonna find out that something may have happened. Like you didn't get all the information. You forgot some sort of details. And it's like you could be very excited about dating this person during the Mercury retrograde and then come to find out they got a husband or a wife and like a bunch of kids and you didn't even know that. You found out that you was just like a little like rebound or something like that. So that's why it's important not to start anything new, because usually during the Mercury retrograde, people leave out information. And it's not always on purpose. A lot of the time it's just the person just doesn't feel the need to say it. Like they could just be so excited about like meeting you or something like that that they just didn't think to say it, or you just don't understand that the intentions were completely different. Like you thought this person wanted something serious and they didn't. Or the person during Mercury retrograde, their thoughts were just in a completely different space in which they thought that they wanted to start something new. And then once Mercury goes back direct, they remember. All of a sudden they remember that they love Charlie. It's like stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you gotta be careful. Try not to start anything new, especially with relationships. Now, if someone you started dating, okay, in the past and it didn't work out, like it stopped abruptly, it may be a great time to actually start over during the Mercury retrograde. I'll give you that. Like if you were seeing someone in the past and for some reason it didn't work out, it stopped abruptly, during the Mercury retrograde, there's a strong likelihood that you two could suddenly start conversing again and possibly dating again, and it may actually work out. But the Mercury retrograde is going to be more so for them like reconnecting. And then once Mercury goes back direct, things could possibly get more serious. But during the Mercury retrograde, it's more so just like possibly a forgiveness could occur. Okay, if there was like an argument, you guys may forgive one another, perhaps. There could be a clearing up to possibly start something new when Mercury goes back direct. That's what I'll say for that. In terms of jobs, let's say that you used to work an old job. Let's say an old job that you worked at needs more people. They need more staff, or perhaps you need a job. During the Mercury retrograde, hit up your old job. If you really, really, really need a job, you could possibly hit up your old job and they may like consider you back. If you still remember how to do things or something, they didn't change up, their system too much. Things like that could work out during Mercury retrograde, because again, you see how it's like something you already have done in the past, so there's like an opportunity for it to maybe be something for you. But again, it may end when Mercury goes back direct. That's the only thing. It's like, because Mercury retrograde, it allows for people to slow things down, so it's easy to kind of like consider options. It can make people more open, more spontaneous. So those are the main things. During Mercury retrograde, it's a great time to reverse, go back, rewind, and clear out any sort of information that was not known, that was not spoken about, that was being ignored. Edit, cleanse, purify any sort of energies, whether this be things regarding work, school. Maybe you need to get a new notebook. Okay, maybe your notebook's kind of filled up and like you need to take more notes and you need a better notebook. Your notebook's all ripped up, raggedy in your backpack. Like, get a new notebook. Maybe you need a new electronic notebook, like a MacBook or a laptop or a computer system or something, because the one you have is too filled up with data, or you need an external hard drive or something like that, like myself. Okay. Maybe you need a new camera or something like that. Maybe a new system or software for something related to your work or anything that you do. Maybe going back to previous projects that were unfinished, planning new projects, jotting down new ideas, recalculating, regathering, anything to do with definitely a good time. One of the main things with Mercury retrograde is anything that you have ignored, like you already seen these energies were not holding up. Okay, it's like Tower card, okay, in reverse. Like you see that this is not really gonna hold up for much longer, but you remember our society is so focused on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. We forget to do these things. We may just have to go back and actually like attend to these things. So things related to our cars are big during the Mercury retrograde. Make sure that your car is still running well. You'll notice more people going to get their car serviced during the Mercury retrograde, or maybe you need to fill your tires with air or whatever it be. A great time to even get your computer cleaned out, like maybe order a thing, I don't know, like you could download a thing to clean out your computer, clean out the cache. I believe I pronounced that right or wrong, I'm not sure. CACHE, the cache. Okay, because you're not even seeing information and numbers and details correctly because you have too much cache on your phone. Androids, from what I remember, I have a couple friends who have Android. Y'all have to physically like go in your phone and go into settings to clear out the cache. iPhone, I don't believe, has to do that. I wish we kind of had that option because I always be looking for it, but I know like iPhone has problems too. You could probably get an app for that or something, or it just removes it on its own, perhaps. I'm not sure. But your computer, clear your history, but make sure you don't clear out the history that has like your passwords, maybe if you have your passwords saved on there. But clear out your history, like your cookies and cache, whatever it is. And you'll notice things like will reboot, like you're like, oh snap, I didn't know that this was that and that was this. Yeah, because you had too much information piled up. Also apply that to your mind. Okay, maybe re-up on supplements, maybe re-up on sleep, maybe take some melatonin, some serotonin to, clear out some of the free radicals in your brain. Vitamin C helps with that. Any type of antioxidant will help with this. So keep that in mind. What the heck just happened? My screensaver came on, which it never does that, but usually it just goes black. But I think I tried to take away this setting. Another thing I'm gonna have to do, because every couple minutes this computer the screen goes straight to the screensaver, and it's annoying because y'all probably see me randomly click. That's why, because I am not good with a black screen. I have to kind of see something, so I have to see myself. That's why I'm looking at myself. So anyway, re-up on your supplements. Definitely a great time for that, to remove the free radicals, the cache in your brain, basically. Just like your computer system needs a cleansing out, just like your car needs to be serviced, Your brain needs to be serviced, you know? That's all I want to say, I believe, for this particular video. I hope it was helpful. Blessings, light, and love to everyone. Thank you for watching.